Welcome to another classic car cave. I just wanted to carry on where I left off with the last video where I was talking about the number plates on the vehicle, insurance and so on. There are quite a few things they have in Austria. I can't talk about Germany or Belgium or Holland. I don't know the systems there. But I think pretty much the Euro stuff is pretty much the same. And what you'll see on the passenger side window here is I've actually got two Autobahn, what they call vignettes. One's from 2018 and 2019. Obviously I haven't had it on the Autobahn this year, so there isn't a 2021 on it, and obviously 2020 it wasn't on the road at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you how these stickers work, or how the system is in Austria, which I think is an incredibly good system, because basically if you don't use the Autobahn, you don't pay any road tax, or road tax as they know it in the UK. So you can have a car sat outside your house, like my brother-in-law for the last 18 months, paying road tax, and he's never used it. Here you pay for what you use. So if you want the vignette for 1 week or 10 days, alternatively, if you want to go from here in Steiermark up to Vienna, you could go up the B roads or the A roads, the B roads or whatever, the small back roads. You could still go to Vienna, you just wouldn't be able to use the Autobahn, or if you did, they would fine you for not having this vignette because they have an overhead camera. So as you can see, this one is obviously 2018, this is 2019. So you can see this was up to the 31st of the 5th month, and this one was from the 14th of the 6th month. And as I say, if you don't want to pay for these, you don't have to. You can pay from short term or long term, whatever. I think even the highest amount for these for the whole year is something like €94, so it's considerably cheaper than the UK. This one here is actually the MOT. So the car can be checked just by looking at it when the MOT is due. So you can see on this one that it's the 4th month, 2022. So 22 is punched out. Obviously in 2026 they're going to have to change the stickers. So it's 2022 and it's the 4th month. And with this pickle, as it's called, an MOT, you're allowed about 2 months waiver room on it. So this is how it works. And this is the same thing that goes on trailers, on hangers at a certain weight. And these other two stickers, they're just places that we went to, Bohemia Run. So what I'll do is I'll take all this off apart from this for when I go to the show, because they just come off with a ceramic top cleaner, like a razor blade type deal. We'll just take them off. I don't need them anyway. But I think this is a very fair system. So basically the system works here is you basically cannot drive a car without insurance, because the number plate is the insurance, and let's say for argument's sake you didn't pay the premium, then they would contact the police would come along and take the plates away and confiscate them. So people don't do it. I also had a question about stealing the plates. I've been here 20 years and I've never heard of anybody take a plate or steal a plate. It just doesn't happen here. So there we go. So it's just a bit of a run up on how things work in Austria. So we did get some spares coming in from S&G Battery in Holland. Unfortunately it wasn't the bits that we need. We need the bits, but we didn't. The parts I did need, unfortunately, they don't hold in stock in Holland. They have to get them from S&G Barrett in Bridgenorth, and so it means basically it's the small items like the screws and the springs and things we need for the headlights. But you probably will have seen that the leaping cat is on the car, and the centre piece is not bolted down at the moment. But we wanted to check that all the chrome fits and the holes are correct. What we have found is that some cars, some of the XK150s didn't have this leaping cat on the front. They just came straight down to the motif bar on the front, and they didn't have the leaping cat. So there's a different style. So if you're ever doing these cars, just be careful, because what I've done is I've bought what I believe to be the kit for the leaping cat to go on, and it doesn't fit. So I'll show you what I mean by that here. This is the other piece that you get with it, and I can show you. So this is where the motif would go in for the Jaguar. It sits like that. Oh, sorry. It sits like that. There you go, so it's like that. And you can see that that piece is not long enough by miles, but I would say probably 3 or 4 inches. So I don't know what the situation is there. Maybe I have to just buy the long one and then cut it, because obviously where the leaping cat sits, there is a half-inch break in between where it attaches onto the bonnet. So that's something to be careful of if you're organising or getting this kind of stuff. So that obviously, I mean, this piece is like £12 and it's nowhere near what I need. So whether I cut up something else to use and it's a bigger cost, or I go for the completely long one, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, so as I said, we're getting the parts in slowly but surely, and obviously we want to put as much on as we can to make sure everything's good. We have found that chrome grille, which is brand new, sorry, I tell you the lie, it was the original grille, but it was reconditioned, or it was rebuilt. This is actually slightly too high, so it actually needs to come down. So tomorrow morning we'll do that, and then we can make a piece up to fit in there. Or I buy the complete strip without the leaping cat and just cut it. Fortunately, where you cut it, it wouldn't be seen because it sits underneath the leaping cat foot. What I'll do is I'll put somewhere either down the bottom here, probably along the bottom here, I'll put in my new email address. I've had to change it from davejaguar66, one word, at gmail.com to davejaguar58, because the E-Type is a 66 and this is a 1958, and it was the only one I could find. It fitted anyway. But since for the last 3 or 4 months, I've had major issues with my Dave Jaguar 66. So if you sent me a message, I'm really sorry I couldn't get back to you. For some reason I couldn't get into it. I couldn't make it work. But what is happening now, and since I started the Dave Jaguar 58, again on the bottom, the Dave Jaguar 66 email seems to have started regenerating again. But some of the stuff's missing. So if you've sent something to me or want to ask something, then use Dave Jaguar, one word, 58 at gmail.com. And I'm sorry for the people that I didn't get back to, but you know, the internet is what it, or the Gmail system is what it is. I mean, we had an outage last week for whatever it was, 6 or 7 hours, 8 hours, I don't know, for the world. So things go wrong. Another quick thing about living in Austria, as I said, I unfortunately, my German is extremely bad. I always say, when I meet somebody, I just say, ich bin ein Engländer, mein Deutsch ist so schlecht, which means I'm English and my German is very poor, which is exactly what it is. I can get by, I can talk to people. The fortunate thing about Austria and Germany is their second language is English, so most people under 40, under 50 probably, speak English as a second language, and they have a lot, certainly a lot better than the Brits have of German. Let's put it that way. And when I first came to Austria, it was just before the Euro came in for everybody, and it was after September 11th, that dreaded day. Anyway, just a couple of things. When I first came in, I thought, oh, this seems a bit strong. This rule seems a bit heavy-handed, whatever. Because the problem with these things is you look at it from your cultural background, or your, you know, like maybe people in Britain like queuing up. I don't think they do. I don't like queuing up, but it seems that they don't mind. Whereas anywhere else I know that they would be pretty annoyed. So I guess it's a cultural thing as well. What I basically wanted to go on to is, when I first came here, you cannot, in a major city or any major town in Austria, you're not allowed to wash your car. Now you'd be saying, what? You can't wash your own car? The reason they do this is they have special stations where you can wash the car. You can wash the car yourself, but it has to go into a special drainage for oil or dirt or rubbish coming off the car. If you did this in the countryside, in your own drive, nobody would stop you doing it. But theoretically, you certainly couldn't do it in the city. If you tried to wash your car in the street in a built-up area, the police would fine you. Absolutely, they would. And I didn't quite understand that. But what I did then realise is that The thing about Austria, when they make rules, they set up the infrastructure to make it work. For instance, in the whole of Europe, heavy goods vehicles are not allowed on the road on a Sunday. That's to allow the drivers to have a day off, even if they're stuck in a park. But it also allows everybody to get home from the weekend in their cars without lots of trucks. There are some exceptions to that rule, like refrigerated milk or refrigerated meat or whatever, but they have to have a special license for it. And it works well because every 20-30 kilometres there is a massive truck park where they pay nothing to go in there. They have toilet facilities, washing facilities, shower, coffee, food, whatever, and it's all there free. So in Austria, certainly, I've seen it in Germany too, but in Austria the infrastructure is huge. And they even have a traffic light system telling them where the next one is where it's full or it's empty, whatever. It works brilliantly well. And obviously in the UK people are parking, HGV are parking in lay-bys and getting charged overnight, so this is why the system doesn't work and why nobody's going to take it from a job in Europe as a truck driver is going to go and drive in Britain. The roads are atrocious, the working conditions are terrible, nowhere to sleep. I mean, yeah, why would they do it? Anyway, that's going off the subject. Yeah, so as I say, there's a few rules, and when I first came here I thought, well, you know, this seems a bit harsh in that. For instance, in a built-up, in a block of flats or apartments, you're not allowed to use a drill or a hammer or anything after 7 o'clock at night. So I think that's reasonable. Is it 7? It could be 9. I think it's 7. And I think that's reasonable. Same as using a lawnmower after a Saturday afternoon, after 12 o'clock, you're not allowed to use the lawnmower, electric or mechanical, because you wake up the neighbours. In a built-up, I'm talking about not out in the country, but in a built-up apartments, you know, where there's hundreds of people. And so, you know, they've got these things in place. And when I thought about it is, the way I look at it is rules are made for stupid people, people who won't play the game. We've all had that nightmare next door neighbour or whatever. And this is why these rules work. They work here because they put the infrastructure in place, and if you disobey the rules, the police will come and shut your party down or whatever it is. They'll fine you for doing something that's against the law. And as I said, at first I was a bit surprised, but now I understand totally why they do it. So I just wanted to bring you a little bit of what happens in Austria, and for the good reasons and the bad reasons. You can look at it whichever way you want. People say, oh, we live in too much of a police state, but we've always lived in a police state. That's the reality of it. And when people say, oh, it's the top 5% that run the world, well, that's always been the case. The top 5% does run the world, has run the world, and it will continue to run the world. There is nothing else going on, that's for sure. It's the way it's been for thousands of years since we could stand upright. Anyway, on that note, I hope you've enjoyed that little bit or explanation of a little bit of Austria. So as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby.